get started. So thank you everyone for joining. So this is going to be our final session of our digital work series. We do have all 5 of our previous sessions posted to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to go back and watch them, feel free. Today, what we're going to be covering is a few miscellaneous items with digital work. So we're going to be taking a look at 2 specific digital work screens. We're going to be looking at the work order schedule screen as well as the issue transaction screen. But we'll also talk about how to use voice recognition to jump between screens and reports, as well as enabling your Data Spy toolbar. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and dive in. The screen I want to talk about is the issue transaction screen. So this was released during our 12.0 release with HxGN EAM. This is only available in digital work. So if you do try to look for this in your desktop app, you are not going to be able to find it. This is a screen used for issuing parts to a work order activity. So very similar to your issue and return parts screen, as well as the functionality of the parts tab on your work order. One nice feature about this issue transaction, and I think it's its primary feature, is allowing the user to utilize barcode scanning to issue parts. And we'll detail through that, show how the barcoding works, and we'll just demo that for you. But the other screen we'll go ahead and talk about is the work order schedule screen. So this screen was added during the 12.1.1 release. It is only available as well in digital work. So this is essentially a view. It allows the user to view their scheduled labor records for a specific day. The records that are shown are based off of the employee's associated user field of the logged in user. So what does that mean? So when I log into EAM, say my user is JJ for my initials. The employee that is associated to my user via the associated user field on the employee screen is what I will be able to see on the work order schedule screen. So if my employee record is also JJ, I will then be able to see all the scheduled labor records for my specific employee. All right, so I'll go ahead and dive into our digital work app. Just give me 1 second to share my screen. You can kind of put this issue transaction wherever you want to. To me, where it made sense is I have a materials folder here. I went into the transactions subfolder and then the issue transaction screen. As you can see here, I do have that issue return part screen as well. You can also use the parts tab of the work order, like I mentioned earlier. But we'll dive into this issue transaction. So what we're going to have first here is we are going to have the store that I'm going to be issuing from, and then I'm also going to input the work order and the activity. So for this example here, I'm going to use our central storeroom. And then I have a specific work order. I will send this to work order 14514. There you go. If you did have a barcode for that work order number, you could use that as well, or you can just type it in like you said there. All right, so then I'm going to hit that Start Part Scan button at the bottom. Here's the issue transaction screen. This is where you're going to be inputting your part information, your org, bin, and transaction quantity. There are a few more fields on here. For example, the lot number, if that was applicable to your organization. You also have the asset ID and asset ID org. That would be an example if you're using a multiple equipment work order and you were specifying the equipment that you were issuing this part to. I have gone ahead and hidden those 3 fields, the lot and the asset ID and asset ID org, just for use of this demo here, but you could always add those in as well. One thing to note is that if a field is required on the screen, it is going to be having that red border around the box. So as you can see here, this part field here, it is a required field because it has that red border around it. If it was a blue border, that would be an optional field. For example, if you had that asset ID and asset ID org, and it's just a regular non-multi-equipment child work order, in that case, that would be an optional field. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to utilize our barcode scanning. So as you can see on the top right, there's a barcode label there. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And I've created some barcode labels here just for an example. So I'm going to be issuing parts, so you can see here, 10003. So I'm going to scan this. and it automatically goes to the next field. If I was inputting this information, what I would do is I would type the part number in, and then I would hit the next button on my keypad. So I can either barcode scan or I can issue these parts manually. So what I'm going to do is keep using the barcode scan. I'm going to make a part org for this asterisk. In this case, we're not using our org security for parts, hence why that part org is always going to be an asterisk. And then for our bin, I've got our bin code as well here. So you can see it's 01A-2-03. The last field is going to be the transaction quantity. In this case, I'm just going to issue 1. If you did have a barcode scan for a quantity number, say, for example, 1, once you scanned that final field on here, it's going to then ask you to submit the transaction. In this case, if I'm manually entering that last field, transaction quantity, I'm going to enter 1. I'm going to hit the blue done on my keypad. So in the previous steps, that button is next on my keyboard. In this case, it is going to be a blue done button. You can also hit that save button on the top left of the screen. For me, it really wasn't working on my iPad. I might need to update it. But in this case, I'm going to use that blue done on the keyboard. So it's going to ask you, do you want to save the transaction? In this case, yes. And it said at the bottom, the transaction, I think it was 10213, transaction has been submitted successfully. If there was an error, it would say, for example, hey, part number 10003 does not exist, or the quantity that you've issued, there's not enough quantity to fulfill your purchase, something like that, to give you an idea of what that error message is going to be. If I was going to then take a look at that work order, this is 14514 at the bottom. I can then go to my parts tab. And I'm going to see these parts that I've issued here. I am going to have more than one on this work order, as this has kind of been my test work order. But as you can see here, I've used 7. So I've gone through a bunch of these tests here. But it used to be 6, and then there were 6 available before I did this test here. So like I said, you can use this, for example, on your parts card here, this part issue/return. You can issue parts that way. You can do the issue parts return screen. But especially if you have use of barcoding in your organization, I think that issue transaction screen is going to be really efficient, especially moving through those codes real quickly instead of having to type all of those values in. So next, I want to cover the work order schedule screen. So in my case here, it's going to be under my work folder and work order schedule. If you don't see these fields on your digital work app, you may just need to add these, as these were released in newer versions. So you might just, depending on your user group permissions, might need to add this menu option. So here's my work order schedule screen. I've gone ahead and scheduled some labor for my specific employee. As you can see here, I have 2 work orders that are scheduled to me, each with 4 hours. Hitting these plus or minuses will go back 1 day. So for example, here, September 30th, I've scheduled 8 hours for myself as well, with 3 work orders. So I'll go ahead and take a look at that 14514 work order. I have for September 30th, I have 2 scheduled hours. And for October 2nd, I have 4 scheduled hours. I can go ahead and click on this work order, and it'll take me directly to the work order via a hyperlink. If I then go to my schedule labor tab, I'm then going to be able to see those 2 scheduled labor activities. So if I go ahead and take a look at the first one, I'm going to have the 4 scheduled hours for my October 2nd date, and my second one is going to be the 2 scheduled hours with my scheduled date of September 30th. So this screen is just a good way to view what my scheduled work orders are going to be for a specific day. As long as it's popping up in that scheduled labor tab there, you're going to be able to see them. You can do it via the work order scheduling feature as well. As long as it's just popping up in that scheduled labor tab, then you'll be good to go for looking at it for your specific employee record. Last couple of things I just want to show here, the voice recognition. So I'm not going to be able to demo this because I am on the Teams call with my iPad, but I'll show you exactly how this would work. So all you're going to need to do is just click on the microphone in the top left of the screen there. If I were to click on it, it would give me a little loading refresh icon, and that's when I know I'm ready to speak. So this can be a little tricky. This is going to be helpful when you're wanting to jump between screens or jump between reports, for example. What will work when I say? When I say go to work orders, it will take me to the work order screen. If I say open equipment history, that is a report, for example. If I say open equipment history, it will take me to the equipment history report. So I can use either go to or open as my commands to go to a specific screen. What won't work is if I said work orders. It won't take me to the work order screen because I didn't use either the go to or open in front of it. If I say go to work order screen, it will not take me there because I ended my command in screen. It only needs to say go to work orders, the screen name. Don't put screen or report. So open equipment history report would not work, but open equipment history would work. And then just want to show you another quick feature here. This is likely enabled if you have digital work. So as you can see here, that enable voice actions on the top. If I wanted to hide that microphone, I could click that button to hide it, and then enabling it is just clicking that button again. The show toolbar on load, I will just show this as it is enabled. If I go to my work order screen, for example, if you look under the search within open work orders little search bar there, under there is going to be the barcode sign and that filter. That is your toolbar there. So you can hide that if you want, if you don't want to use the barcode or the filter, but I always like having that quick filter there to be able to see right away. And then I can go ahead and filter my work order data spy as seen. Let me stop sharing here and I'll go back into the PowerPoint. So everyone, just as we bring this to a close today, I just want to thank you for your time and patronage for this HxGN Hacks series. While this is the last episode of this series, this certainly will not be the last of HxGN Hacks with DigitalThinker. We believe in breaking down barriers and enabling our maintenance heroes with quality training on demand. All of our videos are on YouTube. As you see here, if you just search HxGN Hacks onto YouTube, you should be able to see the previous sessions pop up. We do have our YouTube channel as well if you want to go through it that way as well. We have our DTI Academy that hosts 4 free training opportunities a month. So feel free to sign up. We'll have webinars. We'll have different workshops. So whether you're a seasoned hero who's seen it all or recently put on your cape, these webinars and workshops are great references to have for achieving operational excellence within HxGN EAM. All right. And then if y'all do have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or in the Q&A, or feel free to email us as well. We'll be happy to answer them. But appreciate y'all's time, and we'll talk later. Thank you.